Derique with the QUE, Jamal Cannon. I am 24. I first started at the Union University in Jackson, Tennessee. Went there for 4 years. And now I am at University of Memphis, majoring in communication. Well, I know as a student in high school, I was like an introvert. And when I went to Union, it was sort of kind of mainly introverts, but a lot of people who were extroverts, like, they were like totally extroverts. So they were like, I guess they pushed me to like go beyond my introvertness. And so that's what sort of kind of created the, I guess the extra introvert I am right now. But what the main thing that I had to adjust to at Union is, one, they were majority Caucasian people there. Not many blacks at all. Specifically, maybe like 13. And so I had to adjust that a lot of my Caucasian, how can I say this nicely, Yes, counterparts, there we go. Yeah, how ahead of me they were. And it seemed as if I was like way behind them, academically and like knowing people. They'd come in like, oh, I knew this person here, and I'm like, I don't know anybody, you know. And in my academics, it was like, I thought slower. That's what it seemed to me, that I thought slower. So I had to like adjust my mindset into that, okay, I need to catch up with them because they're the ones, you know, still going ahead, and I'm like, I feel like I'm not going ahead, I'm staying back here. So I guess that I had to like adjust my mindset in that I need to push and keep going and not like just stay, I guess, where I was.
My name is Taylor Henderson. I attend the Tennessee State University. I am 19 years old and I'm a nursing major. The connotation that comes along with Tennessee State is that it's a party school, and any school can pretty much be a party school, but it's all about what you choose to do with your time. If you want to go to school just to party, then by all means go ahead and do it. But if you want to have that balance between I'm here for school, I go to a university or college, then you have to find that balance to where you balance your books, balance your school, your social life, and then you still balance what you've been taught, and it is to worship on a regular basis.
My name is Amber Buntyn. I am 18 years old and I go to Clark Atlanta University. I'm a business major with a concentration in marketing and entrepreneurship. Going to Clark was always been a dream of mine to go to Atlanta for a very, very long time. So, of course, when I pitched the idea to my parents that I finally wanted to go to Clark, of course, I thought they were going to say no because I've been in Memphis my whole life. So I was thinking I was going to have to go to a school closer to home. And when they finally said yes, I was really excited, couldn't wait to get to Atlanta. Pretty much I thought I knew everything about Atlanta and what was gonna happen. Till I got there, and it was a lot different from what I thought it was. For one, a lot of people hear that most HBCUs are in the hood, which is pretty much true, or the hood is in an HBCU area. So when I got there, a lot of things were, as far as surroundings, were different as far as what I was expecting for a university. You can look around University of Memphis, of course, and see it looks so beautiful. And then you go to Clark and it's beautiful, it's just beautiful in a different way. Of course, Morehouse and Spelman are also very close to Clark. It's the AUC. And it was just different for me. It took a very long time for me to get adjusted. I remember leaving, and about a few weeks in, I was ready to go home. I called my mom, told her I needed a bus, plane, something to get home for real. And I went home for a weekend and got there and was mad because I was home. I didn't want to be home, and I realized, you know, it was time for me to grow up and go to college and stick it out. So I went back, and I probably didn't go back home till Christmas after that. And everything about Clark tested my faith. I came around a lot of people that didn't really believe in what I believed in or didn't grow up the way I grew up. I've grown up to be very blessed and fortunate, and I saw that a lot of people weren't as blessed and fortunate as I was, and those who were as blessed and fortunate as I were not as humble. I think they took their experience for granted. If you know anything about Clark, you know it's not cheap, it's very expensive. So when you go there, you kind of have to take everything for granted, for real. Because a lot of things can be taken away. My parents could of course say, we can't afford this anymore, and I could be sent home and I have to come back to University of Memphis, but I'm blessed enough to have parents that can afford it and send me away. And as far as faith, I didn't find a church out there, unfortunately. I did visit a few. Was very, very uncomfortable with what I was around, what I was seeing, how they sang, what they did. Everything about it just made me feel like it wasn't home, it wasn't comfortable for me. So I began to watch online and just stuck to that, worship in my room, stayed to myself on Sundays, kind of just prayed and did my own little thing, separated myself. I always knew I was different anyways because I was an Olive. So there was no need to actually, I guess, explain to people that I was different, because there was no need to explain. I already knew who I was and I knew my faith. So I already knew that going off to college, I was not going to find another New Olivet Baptist church. I already knew that. I guess what I was looking for is something that made me feel comfortable. So after visiting a few churches and not feeling comfortable, I kind of just gave up, which might not be the best thing to say, but I mean, I'm learning. I have so many years ahead of me to find another church, possibly. So I'll continue to worship in my room. If I don't find a church this upcoming year, then I'll continue to watch online. That has been a big part of my life, watching online and just continuing to stay focused on what I've been taught.
My name is Kenny Carter. I am a rising sophomore at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. I am 19 years old, and my major is kinesiology. It's basically the study of the kinetics of the body, so I didn't want to confuse anybody, so there you go.
I decided to leave Memphis because I just wanted to expand and just get away from home, just to try things new. I guess it gives you more responsibility where you're farther away from your parents, and it's just more different. It's just different, and you get to enjoy more things because you get to experience where I go is the east side of Tennessee, and I predominantly stayed in the west side of Tennessee. So you can tell the difference between staying in flat land and staying in the mountains. So I think it's just more branching out and just trying new things. That's why I left Memphis.
Well, the thing I found out with a lot of people younger than me and myself when starting college is the adjustment from high school to college. I know me personally, I did the same thing I did in high school. In college, I didn't really study for classes and stuff, and that kind of like, yeah, that made my GPA fall because I wasn't like partying all the time, but I still wasn't doing like I was supposed to do. So I kind of like my GPA fell, and like a lot of people say, it is really hard to like get your GPA back up, because I'm still trying to do that now. Even though I'm getting straight A's, thank the Lord. But yeah, even though I'm getting straight A's, my GPA, my cumulative GPA is still pretty low. And another thing would be, I guess, adjusting from being under, your parents' roof to like, oh, I'm free. I ain't got nothing, I ain't got nobody really telling me what to do. And like, I guess, moderating that, I guess, like, not like being way free, like, oh, I'm not doing nothing unless I want to, but still like constricting yourself, giving yourself boundaries instead of just like going all the way Honey Baked Ham.
My first year experience was a great one because I was used to being away from home on several occasions. So I was pretty much adjusted to being outside of Memphis. first year, it's easy to get into the crowd that's predominantly not there for the right reason, which is their education. So my advice is to be focused on who you are and what your goals are, and just know that it's easy to start off on a good note, and then you can end on a sour one. But if you start strong and have a plan, have a goal in mind, then it'll be easier for you to complete your first year successfully in the way you want to.
Staying focused on my morals solely revolves around how I was raised. Luckily, I had two parents in my life that were very strong on raising children the way they felt they need to be raised, and the church is how they felt that we need to be raised. I've been in the church for as long as I know, since I was a child. So morals have never been a big questionable thing to me. I've always known right from wrong, and it seems as though it's when I went off to college, I kind of realized all those rebellious moments I had against my parents. I kind of realized why they were so hard on me about certain things and why they tried to teach certain things. And I think what they really most wanted me to just not fall in line with what other people think is right and what is wrong. I have to believe what is right and wrong through what I've been taught through God and through my parents.
So, as you all know, your parents, as soon as you leave for college, your parents are going to tell you, stay involved, go to church. So I understood that and I tried. I'm not saying I won't go back, but some churches are not just for anybody. So it was just one instance where I went to church with a friend who was actually from Knoxville. And how the situation went was, since I didn't have transportation, they provided a church bus. And my friend, how he got me to go was because he went previously, and he also included the fact that they provided food. So this one morning, I woke up about 8:30, church started about 9, so they gave us a ride to church. Sunday school started at 9, so that's all fine and dandy. Sunday school ended around 12. That's a pretty long time. But what it got me was from 12 to 1 p.m., they had a little game session, which I really didn't have a problem with it because it was testing you about the Bible. But it was the fact that they waited till the last minute to do these things, and then church still hasn't started yet. So, make a long story short, church didn't end till 3 p.m. and I still didn't get food. So, as a person, that made me upset because you promised me something and you had me at church all day. So, that's something you gotta look out when you go to school, is stay focused and find a church that fits you. Because I know I went to multiple churches and I felt there are some churches that I would see myself plugging into, but like I said, it's kind of hard with limited transportation. So do your best to stay focused on God, try worshiping as much as possible. And if you can't worship, just pray. I do recommend that praying does help, and worshiping occasionally does help, but stay focused and just yeah. It helped me significantly. It hurt me in the fact that I didn't actually have a church house to attend, but I feel like the worship and just being in the atmosphere online and just being away from home, but still having that similar just feeling when you're there, I think that helped me just get through my day. Sometimes it gets stressful because, like you said, I mean, I go to University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and that's a predominantly white school. So sometimes I'm in class, I might be the only African-American person in there, or I can literally count the African-American students in my hand. So I mean, worshiping, I might not do it all day every week, but at least I try my efforts to do it on Sundays, which helps me build up just the spiritual and just confidence just to go to class and not be worried about, hey, I'm the only black one in here. It's kind of like, hey, I'm the only one black person in here. Let me do better. Let me show out better than the other students because I'm trying to prove something. Most of them don't want me here. So make myself deserve to be here. That's how I feel about things, and that's why watching church online has helped me so much, because it kept me focused and it helped my courage just stay strong and just know that I'm doing this for God and I'm just doing this to be the best person I can.
My first year goal is to know who you are, and if you don't know who you are, at least be grounded enough to know what your morals are, what you've been taught, and what you want to get from your college experience. Like, if you don't have a goal, a set major in mind, at least least know what you like, know what you enjoy doing every day, and at least get something from your high school experience of what you enjoy. Like if you enjoy math, at least take advantage of what your strengths and weaknesses are and try to put those two together and figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. And then you have so many resources when you get to college that you'll figure out, based on the help that you have on campus, what you want to do in life.
Well, I know on Sundays at first I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to no church because I already know there's no church like the New Olivet Baptist Church anywhere. And so I really wasn't going anywhere, and I was just watching online. And I really appreciated that. I really did appreciate the online aspect of it, because I still could, like, get some type of connection to the church. But let's see, I guess I still visited a church because I still wanted the feel of actually being inside the house. And so because being online, it wasn't the same as actually being in the house. And so I would still like, I guess, visit a couple of churches, mainly like, I know the ones I wasn't going to. I don't know if I'm gonna name those, no. But I did visit this church that was a non-denominational church, and I was like, I wonder what their thoughts on this is. And I went there, and I actually worshiped there, and nobody came and picked me up off the floor. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna be here until I'm able to, go back to the New Olivet. And I would say, I learned a good amount there. It wasn't home, but it was still, very helpful in that I had an actual place to go to, and not just be in my room looking on my laptop. That helped. And it did give me some word, but it just wasn't the same as actually being inside. I guess.
One thing that I will say strengthened my faith was towards the end of the year. Towards the end of the year, we had a little block party. Kind of one of the biggest parties that happened in a block, just a block. Had about 1,000, maybe 2,000 people in a block, and it was early. I've had my few share of drinks, and I did have an alcohol beverage in my hand. And it just so happens that as soon as I was walking down the street, a police officer was about to shut the whole entire block party down. And I froze for a second, because I'm like, man, I had this drink in my hand. Even though I look old enough, he may still try to ID me. It's either run or go to jail. And it just so happens that he wasn't even bothered by me. He just walked by me, and my heart dropped, because I don't know what would have happened especially if I would have went to jail. I know my mom would have been in Knoxville so quick, I didn't even know that was possible. I just know that things like that had just made me just worship and just try to stay focused on what are some things I can keep myself out of trouble. I mean, you can have your fun in college, but you also need some just guidance of not having too much fun. You should know your limits, and you should just stay focused on what your purpose is there. I mean, you can have fun in college, but your main focus there is to get an education.
Worship at school is obviously a lot different, because I'm not in church and kneeling and laying prostrated in the actual church. It's more so kneeling and laying prostrated and blowing kisses in my room or wherever I am where I need to get in contact with God. There have been a lot of situations my first year where it calls for just a little quick prayer, not necessarily kneeling and laying prostrated immediately, but I think you encounter so many people, especially in college, that don't have the same beliefs as you, and especially when you're having a conversation or a daily interaction with them, you kind of have to remember your worship and your faith, and remember that people don't react the same way you do. Your worship is in a whole nother level, and you're in a different zone sometimes. So sometimes I have to just bring myself back and remember where I'm from and what I've been taught. And what I've been taught is worship.
I appreciate worship so much and the teaching of it because it has helped me stay grounded and stay confident in who I am spiritually and as a woman of God. I worship every Sunday and I try to pray throughout the week, and it just keeps my mind going and it keeps me feeling like I'm back at home. Even though I am just 300 miles away, I still feel like I have that connection when I do worship and when I do watch online. I tried to go to other churches, but of course it's not the same. It's not the teaching that I was brought up on in the past couple of years, and it's just a whole nother experience trying to force being under a house of God. But when the teaching isn't right, when the worship isn't there, and when the praise is just that choir singing and it's this big whole show, it just doesn't feel natural and it doesn't feel like that's what I need. So I worship in my room and I watch online at the given time I worship, and I just feel like that gives me from week to week, and it gives my mind the strength and that kind of restoration to go through another week of classes, which is just something that I had to get used to. Classes back to back from 8 o'clock to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I would be in class, and it's just draining, and it's draining on my mind and on my spirit. But with worship and visiting home every once in a while, I still feel like I'm back home. And having the online on Sunday, like I said, it makes me feel at home, and I feel like no matter if I'm in Nashville, Florida, any school, any place, I'm on vacation, away from church on a Sunday, I still can tap back in and watch and still get the same message that I've been taught.
One thing I think we can do at the New Olivet Baptist Church as far as getting more involved with the college student is have a Sunday school class that only involves between the age of 18 and 25, so that we can only have an interaction with that age group and those people that are in college. Because I think when we come back, we don't necessarily want to go to a high school class, and we don't want to go to Saved and Single. So maybe there needs to be a happy medium so that everyone is happy.
It's kind of different because my mom, she told me about how things are going to go to college. I guess my mom kept it real. She was like, I understand you're going to drink in college, and I understand that there's some things in college that you may experience that you just haven't experienced at home. And I guess it was I was prepared for it, but I wasn't as much prepared for it as I can say, because I didn't expect it to happen that much. Because I thought, hey, college student, you might have your few drinks, but I thought it would be more difficult in college just because they may be hard in Knoxville and just in the area, because I don't know, I just had that mindset that it would be hard to get drinks because I always just was thought you had to be 21 to get them. But in college, it's easily accessible, such as drugs. That's probably one thing I've never done. I mean, I just never done it because I just have a mindset where I can't put myself in that predicament, because every job I've had interviews for, I've had a drug test, and I mean, there's ways to beat it, but I'd rather be sober and not have those drugs in me than to run that risk of losing a job and just losing a potential reference on a resume that can help you so much. And it's just how you do it. You may be exposed to so many things that you've never been exposed to, but it's just how you take it. You may accept it, and you may just, I wouldn't say succumb to peer pressure, because eventually you're going to fall into some of those acts, but don't succumb fully into peer pressure. Just because your friends do it, don't you do it. Make up your own decision to do it, and make up the mind that I'm doing it because I want to do it, and it's my decision and not somebody else's decision that told me to do it.
Before I went off to school, I did have a bit of a social life, but I wasn't very, I I'm lying. When I was in high school, I was just in about every club, every organization you can get into, and that's what keeps me focused on my school, and it keeps me going. So my advice is to take the strengths and the weaknesses that you had in high school and apply that to your college plan. And my plan was to join something that makes me feel at home, and I actually joined an organization, and it's called First Ladies Club, and that's what keeps me social, but it still keeps me on the side where I want to be. And it's just like I'm with a group of young ladies who want to have that college experience, and they still want to be connected to God and still want to live a Christ-like life. And that's an organization that has helped me through my first year. It taught me etiquette, study habits, and it helped me seek a goal and to keep it in mind, and to surround myself with people who are like me and who want the same goals as I do, and who want to still live that life that they were brought up on. And even though we go out to parties with each other, but we go to church with each other. We have our meetings, we pray, and we still keep that force on campus that everybody knows us, and when they see us, we have that glow around us that they can see that we still want to be young ladies of Christ and still want to have that college experience.
I have friends that just, they really are. Some are, I wouldn't say less blessed, but I guess some haven't accepted their blessing more than others, because some of them have full rides to school, but they don't understand that opportunity they received, and they feel like it's not that it should be given to them instead of they work for it. I mean, like, you earned a full ride. It's not given to you just because you did all that stuff. And I feel like once you get to college, you see those people, like you said, you might grow up and you see those rich people who feel like everything should come to them. And when you get to college, there's some kids who literally got everything. Their parents are paying, their daddies are paying their tuition right now, but they feel like the world revolves around them. And you just gotta separate yourself from that, because some of them there's some that are actually not that bad, but there are some that you really just have to block them out, because they'll lead you in the wrong direction. It will cause you to be friends with them, and then you will lose all your other friends. And then they're the type of people that will leave you by yourself, and then you're basically in college by yourself. And that's one thing you can't do, is go through college by yourself. And friends, family, whoever, those people really can help you. Friends are the ones there because they're the same age or similar age, and they not too long ago went through the exact same things you have gone through, or even worse, and they can just push you through it and help you endure those things. But there are some, like, you may listen to your parents, you may listen to your grandparents, you may listen to other relatives that tell you the same thing, but it's not going to click in your mind until somebody your same age tells you, because it's kind of more of that, oh, your parents are telling you something again, oh, I don't want to listen, or a relative, they think they know what they're talking about, but they don't. But when somebody comes to you the same age and basically reiterate the same thing your parents say, it just dawns in you, and it just helps you so much, because you see that there's wisdom in everyone, and you just so everybody has their own separate wisdom, and you can just leech off each other and become one, and that wisdom would be just great, and you can do so much things on campus, which is why you should get involved early, know more people, because once you get involved, you meet new people. It's just, friends are just numerous, and just staying focused and having them beside you helps the ride of college go so much better.
I know one of the tips I would give seniors that are like, about to go to college, I would say leave Memphis. That way you'd at least get experience outside of Memphis. If you have to come back, then because I had to come back. So if you have to come back, you can come back, but you can still like gain that experience of being outside and not being too close to like relatives or something. You're just like, oh, okay, I'm by myself, and that actually helps your relationship with God. It strengthens it, but it also can weaken it. So you got to make sure you're stable in Him. Let's see. Another thing I would say is remember what your parents actually say. Remember it. You probably don't want to remember it, but make sure you remember what they say, because a lot of the things that my mother said, that was the things that I went back on. I was like, well, Mama said that this and this and this, or Mother took me to church this amount of time, so I guess I should go now, And although I would do it based on that, after a while, I sort of kind of was like, oh, I like this. I like this feeling, and I like, being, I guess, I don't know, having something to lean on that I thought was real. So, yeah, I would say that.
My number one tip is to continue on the path that you are, because if you can make it through high school, you can pretty much make it in college. It's just a more relaxed environment, and continue on the responsibility of balancing school and social life, and still throwing in that Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. That commitment will get you, that commitment to the church will also carry over into your commitment to what you want to do in school. And my second tip is to remember who you are and never forget what you've been taught, and still project that onto others in a positive way.
My first tip would be remain true to yourself. I've seen a lot of people lose themselves and find themselves searching by the end of the year of who they really are, who they really want to be. Don't lose what you've been taught. Remain humble, and remember, everything can be taken away from you, really. So just stay true to yourself, and you're gonna meet a lot of people that are not your friends, and don't have your best interests at heart. And you're not gonna learn immediately that these people aren't your friends. It took me a whole semester and a half to learn that the first girl I met at school was not my best friend. So, and it's gonna be really hard to distinguish who your friends are and who aren't your friends. And I believe your true friends become family almost. So just remain true to yourself and remain true to the people around you. And my second tip would be stay focused and grind, because you have to. You gotta stay focused and stay in the books. Don't listen to what anybody says. Party only on the weekends. Only on the weekends, please. Do not party throughout the week, it will kill you. And just stay focused, and that's it.
2 tips I have for future college students is go to college for the purpose of college. Don't go to college to have fun, go with your friends, party all night, because that's not the purpose of college, because college is too expensive just to be going there and partying all the time. I mean, you can party, you can have your fair share of partying, but the purpose of you there is to get your education. And that's just the key thing you need to do. And another tip I have is just branch out. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out your comfort zone. Try new things. Get connected with organizations, other people. It don't have to be a fraternity or sorority. It can be the student government. It can be the math club. It can be people from different ethnicities. I mean, race is not just one factor that determines college diversity. Diversity is ethnicities, race. It just means ethnicity. No, diversity is such a broad word that it covers so much that you need to experience many things, because if you experience those things, you will experience things that you've never seen, or you never dreamed of doing, or you never just imagine yourself doing. So just get connected and just have fun.